Angels and Demons Part 4. Such a fun topic, especially if you like the show Supernatural, which I just love. My daughter and me started watching that. My older daughter when she was like 8 years old, I think, right? Which was like, I don't know, it might have been a little too young, but she started watching it, got me hooked in it, and it became our thing. We watched the whole series together, and we just had a great time playing around with it. But you know, I was thinking about that this week and about some of the stuff I wanted to talk about, like as far as the occult and, the stuff that you just can't really find in books or even in videos, the things that like a lot of people could tell you who the demons are, what they do, what their exact function is. And like they could like do that for hours, right? And, but I feel like the thing that took me a long time to understand was like demons are not necessarily our enemy and angels are not necessarily our friend, right? Like you think they are. And that's because you haven't read the Bible, you haven't read the Old Testament, and then really you haven't drilled down into this occult information in these books. And there's thousands of them, obviously. I think these are the best ones: the Picatrix, the Grimoire Varium, and the 3 books of occult philosophy. That's like the magnus opus as far as I'm concerned, right? It's like the best book ever written by Henry Agrippa for the occult. But so there's a real lack of knowledge and ignorance on these beings, right? And like how did the people who like wrote these books like learn all this information? It was, all of this is passed down for tens of thousands of years, from the Library of Alexander. Some of the stuff that survived, like written, that people were able to get out of there quick enough, or like they carried in their mind when they left Egypt to get away from the Christian persecution that was going on. They ended up in Europe, and slowly over time, people were able to put this information together. But these were people who today would be like, designing computers, who'd be like the smartest physicians, like, have their own TV shows. These were the most intelligent people of their day. These people were not ignorant fools who, had some silly notion about like magic, in the sense that you see on TV, and they were just, like tinfoil wearing hat morons. Like it's the complete opposite. These people, the people who wrote these books were scientists. They even talk about it in their writings about how this is a science in the best way that they could during their time. Like the science that we understand today is now actually confirming lots of these principles, right? But they expressed it in a different way because they didn't know what an atom was or a molecule. So they called them beings or creatures, right? Like, so they understood the principle, but they didn't understand like in the way that we do because of technology and how far we've advanced as a society. And the more technology advances, the more we're finding that the people who wrote this book weren't crackpots or fucking crazy people, right? They were actually like cutting edge people, right? Like Tesla, like Henry Ford, right? They had that level of intellect and intelligence. And for a long time, these people have been mocked as kooks, put to death, persecuted. And so that's where this information about angels and demons comes from. And it's because these people engage them over long periods of time, millennia, in transmitting that lineage down and understanding. And like, okay, why would you want to know how to talk to angels and specifically demons? Because if you're not happy in life, if you're sick, if you're depressed, you have anxiety, you have terrible relations with people, right? Like your marriage is a train wreck, or you have a new boyfriend or girlfriend every other week, right? It's because, right, like what you have going on in your subconscious and the spiritual world is not being addressed. Okay, and like I was explaining in my last video, for things to emanate in this reality, right, they have to start, in the spirit world. And your emotions, right? Like, how do you think that energy like flows out of you, right? It's like, yes, we pull it in us. We, when you go to kiss somebody, or you really have an infatuation with somebody, you feel this intense energy between you. Or you see somebody you don't like, you have this intense hatred, right? Like, you feel fire burning in you. Well, in the spiritual realm, when you start thinking of that, you pull an entity or a creature to you in the spiritual world that either controls that aspect of nature or is the essence of that nature, right? And then you draw that energy from them through your person, through your body language, through your body energy, through the words coming out of your mouth, the physical actions of striking somebody. And the more you call these beings to you, the more they will begin to become part of your personality, right? It's not just like, how could I explain this? It's not like just that you are having these physical actions occur. They become part of your subconscious and your spirit, right? Your energy vibration begins to change in harmony and resonance with them. And in order to change from that, right, which is a miserable life when you're in all of like those kind of situations, you're going through messy relationships, there's always fighting, you're having issues with money, and the list could go on, right? But like, before that ever occurs in this reality, the reality that we're in, it has to, the energy comes from the spiritual realm and just flows through you, right? So by learning how to communicate with demons and angels, you can talk to these beings and get to understand them and understand why they're in your life and why they're having this effect and cause. And when we come into this reality, we have energies that are imparted to us by the planets, right? Like, so where all the planets emit energies, and when you're born, whatever planets are like in alignment with you at the time of birth, like you're harnessing those energies, right? Like, that's the principle of astrology. And when you're absorbing those energies, you're absorbing the good energies and the bad energies, and that's how your personality in this world, like, that's how you act. Those are the costumes you wear, as a great wise woman told me recently. Those are the costumes you wear, like, while we're on this stage. And those costumes come with positive creatures, demons, and angels. And once you can communicate with them in a respectful way and understand who they are, you can gain control over that behavior pattern. And, all beings, right, whether demons or angels, have both good and bad traits, right? They're not necessarily bad. Like, if if your house is on fire, you want water on it, right, to put it out, right? But like, while you could drink water and it's good for you, it could still drown you, right? So it's a lot more complicated than it's just, oh, they're demons and they're evil and they're out to ruin your life and they're malevolent. Like, yes, some of them are. But when you learn to communicate them and understand why you're behaving in a certain pattern, you can learn to harness the positive aspects of that being, so that instead of like constantly manifesting and acting out the negative attributes that they have and control, the energy that they control, you can actually use the positive aspects about their personality. Whether they're an angel or a demon, everybody has good and bad in them. And everybody has good and bad behavior patterns. So I hope you like what I'm doing and telling you, because it took me a long time to learn this. And this is really a cheat code that you're not going to hear. You can find it some places on the internet, but very rare that people even understand this stuff enough to impart it. So thanks for watching.